Right, so hi everybody, and as always, I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, and let's just take a few moments to just take note of the breaths you are receiving, just as a means by which to become a little more present, become a little more in the body at your own pace for a few moments. Now, one of the concepts that we work with here in spiritual workout world, and we've probably had warm-ups that have to do with this, is listen to inspiration. And as a spiritual workout practitioner, there are so many times where I've heard myself say, well, it's really all about taking responsibility, another one of the concepts, or really fundamentally, it's all about intention. Intentions matter being another one of our concepts. And that's really interesting and kind of fun in a lot of ways. And yet, I would say at this moment that that's often true on a very practical level when we're engaging the practice. And of course, none of this matters. We have 15 concepts and they all have a part and they all have a role. And yet there's something about this concept of listening to inspiration that I want to talk about on a level that we might not usually get to, which is that it is this concept, which again has to do, when we talk about listening to inspiration, we're talking about that way that we use as human beings to connect to the spiritual part of, or the spiritual being having the human experience, our soul, our gut, our guidance. And it's all encompassed in this concept that we call here listen to inspiration, right? So it's about feeling, it's about connection to source, connection to non-physical energy, that idea that there's more going on than what's going on. And fundamentally, it's about guidance. There are a lot of teachings that talk about in some version of whatever language they use, some version of we human beings, we spiritual beings having a human experience, having this sort of inner guidance system, if you will. And so what I'm focusing on right now is just the idea that as we grow this muscle, as we become more and more familiar with how spirit speaks to us, and I don't mean all of us collectively so much as I mean each of us individually, me and you, how you receive your guidance, how your friend receives her guidance, how I receive my guidance. And we know that while there are some overlaps in terms of how that will be, oh, I get all my guidance in dreams. I get most of my guidance through cognition. I get most of mine through feeling, right? So we will have similarities, and yet I believe that fundamentally we will also have distinctions. And so when we think of taking responsibility for our life experience, part of that means taking responsibility for how it is that we receive our guidance. And what I want us to focus on this evening is to think in terms of the guidance as an always on 24/7, well, maybe not when we're sleeping, but maybe absolutely while we're sleeping, an always on 24/7 mechanism by which we can move through this physical 3D world with our ever expanding, ever growing 5D consciousness, so that it is this particular aspect of spiritual workout, this particular concept that ultimately has us capable of moving through every single life experience in real time as it's happening, fully consciously connected to that part of us that exists beyond our physical bodies and goes beyond even us, right? To our spirit guides, to archangels, to ancestors, to all manner of non-physical, all the way to source. Now, some argue semantically it's all the same thing. Others argue about all the hierarchies within. You've heard us talking here about all these different words and ideas we have, but this is about, however we might talk about it, just that knowing that we are fully connected all day, every day, never not connected to this guidance system. And so when we know that, when we trust that, when we are consciously on purpose connected to it, when it has grown into something more than just, oh, I got some really good guidance about a job idea, or I got some really good creative guidance about a project, or I got some really good guidance about whether I should go on a date with this person or not. That's all fantastic. The more and more and more we do that, the more and more and more of those experiences that we have, the more and more and more we are walking around as spiritual beings, having a human experience, really fully operating from the spiritual side. That's the upshot. That's that is where this takes us as we continue and continue and continue to grow this muscle. So with that, I just encourage you to, and we talk about it here all the time. We talk about, well, what does that feel like? This is all in the feeling realm. So I'm just asking you tonight to consider what happens and where it goes when you, I, me, all of us are just better and better and better at knowing what that guidance is, having it always on, moving through life in an entirely new way. So, with that, I invite you to take a nice deep breath if that's comfortable for you, and just kind of hold on to what feels good. Let go of what might not. And come on back and let's talk about what you want to talk about.